The moment your paycheck hits your account, you have exactly 15 seconds. 15 seconds before your brain starts making terrible financial decisions. But what if those same 15 seconds could be the difference between staying broke forever and actually building real wealth? Hi, I'm Jack, and if you're tired of wondering where your money vanishes every month, stay with me and don't forget to subscribe. This video will change everything. Let's start with a hack most people never try. Pay yourself a fake salary. The day you get paid, decide how much you're allowed to live on for the month and hide the rest from yourself. Different account, different bank if possible. If you never see the extra money, you never spend it. You stop living like someone who has money and start living like someone who's building wealth. What do successful people do differently that helps them manage their paychecks more wisely? They have a system, and it starts the exact moment money hits their account. But no one on Instagram is telling you about this hack. But it works so ridiculously well that once you start, you'll wonder how you ever survived without it. Your paycheck isn't just money you earned. It's your future financial freedom chopped into monthly installments. Every single dollar is a tiny building block. It either contributes to your wealth or disappears into the black hole of mindless spending. Your choice. Here's something that'll probably sting a little. The average person has absolutely no idea what happens to their money after payday. Sure, rent gets paid somehow. Food magically appears. Netflix renews itself. But beyond that, complete chaos. They treat their paycheck like a surprise birthday gift instead of the wealth-building machine it actually is. Money arrives, excitement happens, spending sprees commence, and then 2 weeks of cereal for dinner while obsessively checking their bank balance. Most people approach finances completely backwards. They pay bills, buy whatever catches their eye, then try saving what's left over. There's never anything left over. It's like filling a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom, then acting shocked when you can't hold water. The people building real wealth flip this entire process on its head. They pay themselves first. They allocate every dollar with intention. They make their money work as hard as they worked to earn it. And here's what's wild. Financial success isn't really about making more money, though that helps. It's also about having a system that works regardless of income. Think about it. Someone making $50,000 who saves and invests 10% consistently, they'll crush someone making $100,000 who spends every penny. The lower earner retires comfortably, the higher earners working until they're 80 because they never learned to manage what they had. Before building wealth, you need to know exactly where your money goes. And I mean exactly. Not some vague idea about major expenses. A precise understanding of how every dollar gets allocated. The first step sounds boring, but it's absolutely critical. You need to determine what percentage of your income goes toward necessities. The stuff you literally cannot live without. Housing. Food that actually keeps you alive. Basic transportation. Essential utilities. Healthcare. Notice I didn't include your premium cable package, that gym membership you haven't visited since January, or your subscription to 17 streaming services. Those might feel necessary during your Netflix binge, but they're not required for survival. Here's where most people get this completely wrong. They look at their expenses and convince themselves everything's a necessity. That expensive car payment becomes essential transportation. Daily coffee runs become necessary fuel for productivity. Weekly restaurant meals become crucial social activities. Reality check time. If you're spending more than 60% of your take-home pay on true necessities, you're either living somewhere too expensive for your income, or you're calling luxuries necessities because it makes you feel better. Let me give you a real example. Someone earning $75,000 yearly takes home roughly $4,750 monthly after taxes. Rent's $1,800. Car payments $400. Food's $500. That's $2,700 monthly, about 57% of take-home. Actually pretty reasonable. But here's where it gets interesting. That same person might think they're barely surviving, especially when you add streaming services, eating out regularly, daily coffee, and those small purchases that seem insignificant individually, but add up to hundreds monthly. The key is being brutally honest about needs versus wants. Your future financial freedom depends on making this distinction clearly and consistently. The second critical step happens before you even think about fun spending. You need to stay current on debt payments. This isn't about paying off everything immediately. It's about protecting your credit score and avoiding late fees that destroy financial progress. Your credit score is like your financial reputation. And in our system, that reputation affects almost everything. It determines your mortgage interest rate, whether you qualify for decent car loans, and sometimes even whether you can rent an apartment or get certain jobs. Here's what might surprise you about credit scores. The difference between excellent and terrible credit management often comes down to one missed payment. Make 99% of payments on time? That's considered good. Drop to 97%? Your credit score tanks dramatically. The system's unforgiving, but the rules are simple. Make minimum payments on time, every time. Your credit score handles itself. Not glamorous, won't make you feel wealthy, but absolutely essential for long-term success. Now that we've covered the foundation, let's talk about something most people completely ignore until it's too late. Building an emergency fund. An emergency fund is money you set aside for when life throws curveballs. The goal is 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved. Accessible immediately. Not invested in stocks that might tank when you need them. Not locked in some certificate of deposit you can't touch. Just sitting in a boring savings account, ready to rescue you when everything goes wrong. Back to our earlier example. If monthly necessities cost $2,700, your emergency fund should be $8,000 to $16,000. Sounds impossible if you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? Remember, you're not saving it all at once. And here's what nobody talks about regarding emergency funds. They're not just about the money. They're about peace of mind. 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings changes everything. You sleep differently. You walk into work with more confidence because you know if something happens to your job, you won't be eating ramen and living in your car next month. But here's where most people mess up completely. They think their emergency fund needs amazing returns. So they invest in risky assets or lock it up in accounts they can't access quickly. Then, when actual emergencies happen, their money's worth less, or they can't get to it without penalties. Your emergency fund should be liquid and boring. High-yield savings account. Government insured. Done. You're not trying to get rich off your emergency fund. You're trying to stay financially stable when life gets chaotic. Once your emergency fund's established, you've officially graduated from survival mode to wealth-building mode. This is where things get interesting, where most people start seeing real progress. Step 4 is where you start investing for your future self. And this is where the magic of compound interest begins working in your favor. If your employer offers any retirement plan with matching contributions, this should be your absolute first priority. Think about employer matching like this. If your boss walked up monthly and offered free money in exchange for you putting some money into retirement, you'd think they'd lost their mind, right? But that's literally what employer matching is. Free money most people leave on the table. Let's say your company matches 3% of your salary and you make $60,000 yearly. If you contribute $1,800 annually, your employer also contributes $1,800. You just doubled your money instantly. Show me another investment guaranteeing 100% return on day one. Beyond the employer match, aim to invest about 10% of gross income for retirement. Sounds like a lot, especially starting out. But remember, this money works for you over decades. The earlier you start, the less you need monthly to reach retirement goals. Here's something that might blow your mind. If someone starts investing $300 monthly at age 25 with 8% average annual returns, they'll have around $1 million by 65. Wait until 35 to start investing the same amount? Only about $400,000 at retirement. That 10-year delay costs them around $600,000. Time is literally money when investing. Every month you wait is money you're throwing away. But here's what's really crazy. Most people overthink this to the point where they never actually start. They spend months researching perfect strategies, reading about fund options, analyzing expense ratios like they're solving world hunger. The truth is that for most people, a simple diversified index fund tracking the overall stock market is perfectly adequate for building wealth. You don't need to pick individual stocks, time the market, or outsmart professionals. Just start investing consistently and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Once retirement investing's on autopilot, it's time to tackle non-mortgage debt. This is where things can get emotionally charged because debt often represents past mistakes or circumstances beyond our control. There are two main debt payoff strategies, and both work if you stick to them. First is the avalanche method, where you pay off debts with highest interest rates first. Mathematically, this saves the most money in interest over time. Second is the snowball method, where you pay off the smallest debts first, regardless of interest rates. Not the most financially optimal, but incredibly motivating because you see debts disappearing quickly, giving you momentum to keep going. I personally prefer the snowball method, because personal finance is more about psychology than mathematics. If paying off your smallest debt first keeps you motivated to continue, that's the right strategy, even if it costs a few extra dollars in interest. The key is to pick one method and stick with it until all non-mortgage debt's gone. Don't overthink it. Don't switch strategies halfway through, and definitely don't ignore debt hoping it magically disappears. After handling employer retirement match and making progress on debt, you can explore other investment options. Opening your own retirement accounts or investing in taxable brokerage accounts. A Roth retirement account is particularly attractive. All your gains grow completely tax-free. You pay taxes on contributions now, but when you retire and withdraw funds, you won't owe any taxes on growth. Contribution limits change annually, but the concept stays the same. You invest money you've already paid taxes on, and in exchange, all future growth is yours without sharing it with the government. For regular investment accounts outside retirement plans, the tax situation's different. You'll pay capital gains taxes when selling investments for profit, but the rate depends on how long you held the investment. Hold it more than a year? Lower long-term capital gains rates. Less than a year? Regular income tax rates on gains. This is why successful investors think long-term. They're not trying to get rich quickly by buying and selling constantly. They're building wealth slowly and steadily while minimizing taxes along the way. The final step ties everything together, and it's probably the most important one. It separates people who actually build wealth from people who just talk about it. You need to automate everything we just discussed. This is why automation is absolutely critical. When money moves automatically according to your plan, you remove human emotion and laziness from the equation entirely. Your money gets allocated properly, whether you're having a good day or a terrible day, motivated or completely burned out. Here's how I personally handle automation, and you can copy this system exactly. When my paycheck hits checking, I let it sit exactly 1 day. Not because money needs to settle, but because I'm paranoid about timing and want everything to be cleared properly. Then the day after I get paid, automatic transfers happen like clockwork. Predetermined amount moves from checking to savings. From there, other automatic transfers move money to specific goals. Maybe some goes to the emergency fund if I'm still building it. Maybe some goes to investment accounts. Maybe some goes to a separate account for taxes if I'm self-employed. The beautiful thing is that I never have to think about it, never have to remember, never have to fight the temptation to spend money that should go toward my future. It just happens automatically, like rent or my phone bill. But here's where most people mess up automation completely. They set up all these automatic transfers, then forget to adjust them when their situation changes. They get a raise, but keep saving the same dollar amount instead of increasing their savings rate. They pay off debt, but forget to redirect that monthly payment toward investments. They're running on financial autopilot, but never update their flight plan. Your automation system needs maintenance. Review it quarterly. Adjust when circumstances change. Make sure it's still serving your current goals, not goals from 2 years ago. This paycheck routine isn't rocket science, but it works because most people never actually follow a system. They wing it. They guess. They hope things work out somehow. Start treating your money like the wealth-building tool it is instead of monopoly money you found in your couch cushions. Automate everything. Stick to the plan. And in 5 years, you'll be laughing at how simple it was while everyone else is still wondering where their money disappeared to. So, which step in this routine are you going to implement first? Drop a comment and let me know. And if this video helped you see your paycheck differently, hit that subscribe button. We post new money strategies every week that'll help you build the financial future you actually want.